Welcome to the inaugural episode. That's Series 1, Episode 1 of the i2i Forum podcast. And you're going to be i2i with me, Marcellus Lindsay, where I'm going to tell you more about what this whole forum and the podcast is all about, as well as a chance to kind of expand on a recent article I wrote called Rest, Reflect, and Refocus. And that's about this gift you can give yourself as the end of the year to really know what you want to get for the year ahead. Welcome. Welcome to the i2i Forum. My name is Marcellus Lindsay. I'm also known as the i2i coach. I'm known by a lot of other things, but maybe not all of them can be shared here. For those of you who already know me, welcome. For those of you who haven't met me before, I'm the i2i coach. Basically, the idea being idea, implementation, income. Or ideally, in some of these conversations, taking you from an idea through to inspired action. I've always had this belief and philosophy that an idea that's not implemented is worthless. And believe me, I have had a lot of great ideas over the years. I've had a lot of great things that I've put together, started, and not finished. And it really came down to the idea that if it's not implemented, it's worthless. I mean, how many great ideas have you had? I even had a notebook at one time where I had all these great ideas. I wrote them down, had them in this notebook, and said, one day one of these ideas is going to really pay off. Some of the ideas were ahead of their time, and I didn't have the skills or technology to put them into place. But it didn't make them a bad idea. It was still a good idea. The implementation is what really made the difference for getting that income. And I've always believed that a lot of times it's that one key breakthrough that we're waiting for, whether it's materially, socially, spiritually, psychologically, that can pave the way for so much more. But when do we really have the time to have these ideas, to have the inspiration? Are you the kind of person who it has to be at 3 o'clock in the morning? Do you have to steal time then when everybody else, before everybody's even woken up? Or is it maybe when everybody else has gone to bed? Or maybe you have one of those really seriously busy schedules that you've thrown yourself into your work. You've thrown yourself into building somebody else's dream and ideas, and you've put yours on the sideline. I've been there. I'm actually still there to some degree. In fact, this whole series of podcasts is a direct result of the fact that I have literally hundreds of ideas, pieces of content and such that have been in unfinished format or in a format ready to launch, but I was getting ready to get ready. See, my personality is that from the Talent Dynamics profile is I'm a mechanic, and the mechanic is like a completer finisher according to that. But I always kind of felt like, well, I'm not the completer finisher. Maybe I'm more the creative person who I'm coming up with the idea. And that was been the real challenge and kind of beating myself up because I've always shot for perfection. In this particular case, this isn't about perfection. It's about actually just completing, getting it done, getting it out there. I feel I have a lot to share, and there's a lot of people I'll be interviewing and have already interviewed that I'll be sharing with you that have a lot of great insights, things that they can share to help you, inspire you, lead you to that point of inspired action, no matter how small. Because sometimes it isn't about perfection. It's actually about getting something done, which leads to more and more and more. And your idea of imperfection is sometimes even far beyond what other people might even expect from themselves or think is possible. And that's why it's really important to inspire other people with your conversations, to inspire people with your thoughts and your ideas, and for it to be mutually beneficial and find that kind of group that you can do that. I've actually not only found that, I've kind of developed one in a community that I call my trusted advisors. And those are the people that we'll be hearing from, or you'll be hearing from, in the weeks, months, and maybe years ahead as I continue to have those discussions to inspire you. Well, for now, it's right now about me kicking this off and saying welcome, thank you, and talking about right now, it's currently 2024, looking at 2025, and how do we get more out of 2025? And it then goes to the article that I'll refer you to, and that'll be in the description of the video. Rest, reflect, and refocus. I know a lot of people say like, but I don't have time to do all this. I'm busy and I have this and I'm working 60 hours a week and I got my family, I got my friends, I have all my responsibilities. And yet these are the same people, many of them, who say, oh my gosh, it's Christmas already? Like it changed. 25th of December every year. But it's actually not about that gift giving just in the morning of the 25th of of December, right? It's actually looking in the 25th of November and looking ahead, not just to Christmas Day, but the year beyond. My first formal coach was a guy named Scott Smith, has a website and a podcast, Motivation to Move. And one of the things he taught me was your real planning begins in November. And if you haven't had time to do that, you make sure you get it done before the end of the year. When other people in their drunken stupor and their hangover are kind of going like, well, you know what? My New Year's resolution is, you've already got yours. It's waking up. Even with that hangover and kind of going, oh, there it is. This is what I'm doing today. This is what I'm doing next week. Here's my purpose. Here's what I'm doing. The key here is that rest, reflect, refocus starts really with rest deeply. The fact is, it's hard for people to really rest. In fact, my belief is, I'm a Christian, is that we were given the Sabbath. And I heard a sermon that once said that if we don't take the Sabbath, our bodies will make us take one. It'll make us take that rest through being ill, through being sick, through being run down. And so when you look at it on an annual basis, this time of year, the gift we have is Jesus being born and hope and light coming to the world and people giving gifts to each other. But sometimes we're giving ourselves the material things, but we can also give ourselves the spiritual thing. Let's think of it. People talk about it being the season of joy, the season of happiness, the season of giving, right? And I, in fact, heard somebody say recently, like, I can't stand the fact that they make all this stuff start at Halloween, the whole Christmas season starting on the 1st of November. And I'm like, I used to agree with that when I thought of it from the commercial perspective and money, 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 buy, year end, everybody trying to make their money. But then something hit me this year. Maybe it's not so bad. If it is a season of goodwill, if it's a season of cheer, of giving, caring, thinking about other people, why not let it begin the 1st of November? Because the longer, the better. One of the key differences I found between the United States and the UK is in the US, and I'm from the South, I grew up in the South, in Houston, Texas. And the people in the South are broadly very friendly people and very spiritual people, even if they're not fully religious. And so I'll hear people say in a store, Happy Holidays, right? Even if it isn't Christmas, or Merry Christmas. And they'll say Merry Christmas, and it's like the end of November. And I was like, that's interesting. But it did add that sense of cheer, that sense of hope, that sense of it's a time to be happy about something beyond me. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to go to England and do that. And even amongst family, I had family members when I said to them, like, beginning of December, Merry Christmas. It's not Christmas yet. Christmas is not just a day, it's a season. And in this season, the gift you can give yourself is the chance to rest. God rest ye merry gentlemen. Rest. And think about it. This is a time of year that people who aren't even Christians are taking time to rest. They're taking time to say, I'm winding down. And therefore, they're not going to be really judgmental of you if you say, I'm taking out a day. One day out of the whole 2 weeks. And that day can be a day that you plan, schedule ideally, and you get that chance to rest and then reflect. And I would say reflect meaningfully. There's a whole bunch of structures you can do to get to look back at your year. If you've already had things like a journal, you have a calendar. I have a calendar behind the camera that has the number of days that I've worked, days I've been contracting, days of holiday, blah, blah. But it also has achievements on there too. I have a vision board that I build with my family in November to December, and we reflect upon and look at what we achieved during the year. Yeah, then we have another chance to, after reflecting on that, to really put this vision of what we want for the next year. But then that reflection highlights the good things, the challenges, and sometimes the challenges, how we're still here, we're alive. We're alive to see this day. We have breath in our lungs. We have life in our bodies. And for those who you don't have it fully, we're still here with a fighting chance. So that reflection gives us a chance to understand and be grateful, because gratitude is so powerful. It's one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Right? Praise, gratitude. Yeah? Looking at something beyond ourselves. And then when we look at that and we're able to reflect, look at what we've achieved and what we want to achieve, we get to look to refocus. My notes here say, refocus intentionally. There's a fact here that we have to consider. If you don't put your focus on the table in front of you, if you don't intentionally look at what you want to achieve for the hours, days, weeks, months, years ahead, chances are, if you don't put it in front of you, somebody's going to stick their focus, their goals, their objectives in front of you, and you're going to help them achieve theirs. And then you're going to be in a point of, if you ever do take a chance to reflect, looking at how little you got done for yourself. My intent has always been to be able to achieve a lot for myself and for my family and for the community. And it's often gotten thrown to the side because what I do is I prioritize the work that's in front of me. I allow myself to get distracted, but I also have a tool. Funnily enough, I have here's 2 of the 6 years of planning that I had using a tool called Daily Greatness. Now, what that allowed me to do was plan out, look at my past, look at the challenges, look what I did to overcome it, be grateful, and focus on who I am and who I want to become. There's one of the exercises I used to do, which was, I have to be something to do something to have something. So be, do, have. And so typically I start out the list and say, well, these are things I want to have. And then I'd look and say, what kind of things do I need to do in order to have those things I want to have? And then ahead of that, what kind of person do I need to be in order to do those things? And it came down to core behaviors, like being more disciplined, being more focused, having some kind of pattern every day. And I'll be honest, when I first started doing the thing of the daily greatness, in the first 3 to 4 months of that year, I achieved pretty much everything that I'd had on my list. And it scared the heck out of me. I actually put the book down for like 2 months because it was like, oh my gosh, how could all this stuff be happening? But then it taught me about 2 things. That mental temperature gauge. I need to be prepared to change the thermostat. Yeah, I need to be able to, that fight or flight, that flight thing kicking in when it gets too low. Oh my gosh, let me do. And when it gets too hot, oh, let me chill out. I need to adjust that, to adjust my expectations. And also part of it was also to take the time to be grateful and to have that gratitude and to reflect on what I did to achieve those things. And even to a degree, recognizing then that I'd set the bar so low. I hadn't seen my own potential that people have seen in me my whole life. And I was beginning to realize it because I took the time to rest and reflect. And now I was able to refocus using that particular tool for me. Now, there are many different frameworks and tools. I'm just sharing one with you that's successful to me because it allowed me to use a positive mindset of starting my day out with certain questions like, what one thing do I need to achieve today to achieve those goals that I wrote in the book? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I becoming? What do I want to be? What do I need to do to get out of today something that makes me feel fulfilled? Because then everything else will feel like it's coming together. And then allow me to use the power of handwriting, because writing things down, there's a phrase, the weakest ink is stronger than the strongest memory. And one of the great things I love about digital planners is the fact that they will do the beep, 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 beep to remind me, to remind you that you need to look at this goal, that you need to focus on this certain thing. So there are advantages to having the digital, there are advantages to writing things down, because you can even write things down and have them digitized now, but put them into something that you can look at and focus on what you want. Understand why you want it. Understand those drivers. Another article I referred to, actually made a comment on, was by Anthony Lindsay, my brother. And he was actually looking at some of the things he'd done that were actually, he was successful in the sense that he had achieved more than he was giving himself credit. And sometimes people need to be reminded of that. And that's why it's great to have somebody that you're accountable to when you're doing some of these goals. I'm not saying, some people say share your goals with everybody. Yeah. But sometimes there's an accountability to yourself, and that's writing it down. And maybe share it with one special person or a small group of people that will help keep you accountable, keep you in check, but also support and encourage you, because life will happen. Things will get in the way. There are going to be times where you're working the plan, but your schedule has to change. Just like when you have somebody doing an extension on the house. Seemed all fine and dandy, the schedule's set, and then all of a sudden you're digging up where you're doing a foundation for something, and whoa, there's something that we discovered, and you have to go get planning permission. Change what you're doing. Change the schedule, but didn't necessarily change the plan. You're still driven and determined to achieve your plan. And how exhilarating, how reassuring, how positive would it feel to be able to wake up on the 1st of January 2025, or whatever the next year may be, as this may be broadcast or shared in the future, and know, no matter how my head feels, no matter how my body feels, if I was out partying or whatever, no matter what I did, I know what I'm set out to achieve this year, why it's important, and what I need to do, who I need to be to achieve those goals. Well, that's my thoughts around rest, reflect, and refocus. And I hope you'll take some of these things on board. During the course of 2025, I'm going to be launching a number of things that have been on the back burner. If anybody visits and you're on this channel, you'll see I've had stuff that's been going since 2011. And I remember a colleague, and I consider sometimes a friend, who helped encourage me in the early days back in then, Daniel Priestley. He said at one point, people kind of look and say you were an overnight success. Sometimes the overnight can be a decade. I think I'm about due, and I'm willing and ready to start sharing what I know and some of the people I know with a wider audience. That way people can benefit from the people I know, the information I have, and the insights I've achieved. So hopefully help you and walk with you on a journey from your insight to inspired action. So keep an eye out for different things that we'll be doing, including the i2i forum, where I'll be having discussions with individuals and small groups from business, from the church, and from other groups, where we're going to talk about the things that impact our individual, collective lives, that impact us in our personal lives, in our business lives, in our spiritual walk. Then I'm also going to have some podcasts where I share information like I'm sharing right now, talking and sharing and speaking to you guys, whoever's willing to listen, but feeling like my duty, my calling is done by sharing it and not keeping this light hidden. If you'd like to join me on that journey, I'd really be honored if you'd subscribe. That way, on the times when I do release something, you're aware of it, and share it with other people. That way they can, at their own pace, they can maybe get something that's insightful to them, and we can help them along on the journey. And the comments, I may say some things from time to time that may be controversial, and I'd love to hear from you guys, and that way we can kind of build a dialogue and a communication going back and forth. Now, the consistency, life may get in the way, because as I'm building this, I'm a consultant contractor, and I do throw myself into work. But I'm committed in 2025 to make sure that there's at least a regular schedule of keeping engaged with you guys, sharing my knowledge, and also hearing from you to maybe get a chance for you to share what you know, share your journey, and inspire somebody. You know, give them an insight that inspires them to inspired action. Thank you so much, and watch this space. We've got a whole journey that I'd like to share with you.